Yes, hi there. Welcome to the next training session based on cross applications ABAP. Okay, so here from this session onwards, we are going to start our new concept, that is RFC. RFC stands for what? Remote function call. Remote function call. Okay, so what is the purpose? What is the purpose of this RFC? We can say this RFC, that this RFC is used to call a remote function module which is available in a remote SAP system, remote SAP server, we can say. Okay, so the purpose of RFC is what? To call a remote function module which is available in a remote SAP server. Okay, so as we know, as an ABAP consultant, it is expected to know that we know how to create the function module, in our function builder SC37, right? So while creating the function module, one second, let me connect. There we will see. So as we know, while creating the function module in this SC37, what we do, in the attributes tab, we have to what? We have to specify the type of the function module. Now we have to what? We have to specify the type of the function module, right? So yes, here we can say, do we have any function module? Yes, let's see this one, Rohit underscore fm1, Rohit underscore fm1. Okay, let's display it. Yes, so here we can say this is the function module which has been created in this SC37, right? And this is some custom function module. This is the function group where it has been stored. Okay, right. So here in the attributes tab, while creating the function module, it is what it asked us type of the function module, right? So there are two or these three options. First is what? Normal function module. Okay, so the normal function module, it can be called anywhere within what? Within the same server. Okay, next is what? Remote enabled module. Okay, so this remote enabled module, it can be accessed from what? From a remote server also, remote SAP server also. Okay, normal function module can only be accessed within the same server, within the same SAP server where it has been created. Whereas this remote enabled module, it can be what? It can be accessed from a different SAP server also, okay. So for the better understanding, let's understand it using a diagram here. Okay, yes, so here we can say, let's assume we have created one normal function module. Into what? Into server 1. Okay, right. So this normal function module, we can call it within the same server. Now within the same server, we just have to say call function so and so, and there we have to give the what? Import export parameter list, all those things already we know, right? So a normal function module can be called within the same server. But if we are trying to access it, the same normal function module from a different server, at that point of time, we will not be able to access it, right? Now if we set our function module as what? Remote function module. If we created a remote function module in what? In let's assume in this server 1 only, in the same server, we have created our function module as what? Remote function module, right? So that function module which has been created in the server 1, it can be what? It can be accessed from different server as well, okay. So for that, what we have to do, the same statement we have to use, that is what? Call function name. Apart from this, what we have to do, we need to specify the RFC destination also. What? RFC destination also. Okay, so what is this RFC destination? We can say it is an object which is a collection of the information related to the RFC server. Which type of information it collects here under this RFC destination? Like IP address of our RFC server. Okay, what host name, system ID, username, password, all these credentials are stored into this RFC destination. Okay, so whenever we will try to access our remote function module from a different server, at that point of time we need to specify the RFC destination, and RFC destination is a collection of the information related to our RFC server. Okay, so here two servers are involved na two servers are involved here. Okay, so the server where we create our remote function module, that server is being called as what? RFC server. Okay, and the server from which we are trying to access, from the server from which we are trying to access our remote function module, that server is called as what? RFC client system, RFC client server, or we can say. Okay, right, so these two server are involved here. One is called as what? RFC server, where our remote function module is created, and the server from which we are calling it that server is called as what? RFC client server. Okay, right. So this is how we can call our remote function module. For that, what we have to do, we need to specify the RFC destination. Okay, so in the real time, the creation of this RFC destination, it is the responsibility of our basis consultant. It is the responsibility of our basis consultant. Okay, the basis consultant will collect the information related to the RFC server. Okay, and basis consultant only will create the RFC destination name will be provided to us. And as an abab consultant, what we have to do, we need to call the remote function module from a different from a different server, which is called as what? RFC client. And this RFC destination which has been provided, which will be provided by the basis consultant, we have to specify within our this function definition. Okay, so here we are in the training, and we do not have any basis consultant. So what we are going to do, we ourselves will see how to collect the information related to our RFC server and how to create the RFC destination, right? So all the things, all the processes, all the tasks will be done by ourselves only. Okay, so first of all, what we will do, there are some steps which has to be performed into what? Into each of the server. Okay, so if we take our this RFC server is the server where our remote function module is created. Okay, so in this RFC server, what we have to do, we need to first of all we need to create a function group. Okay, or we have to identify any existing function group where we can store our remote function module. Okay, where we can store the remote function module. Okay, right. So already we know how to create the function group. We just have to go to the SE80 object navigator, and there from the drop down we have to select the what? A function group, and we have to specify the function group name. All those things we know very well, right? Yes. So first step which we have to follow in our RFC server, that is what? We need to create the function group, or we have to identify the existing function group to store our remote function module, right? Next is what? Next is we need to analyze the requirement for our remote function module. Okay, right. Then based on the requirements, based on that analysis, what we have to do, we need to create our remote function module where in this function builder SC37, and there the type of the function module we have to set to remote function module, right? And then as SAP is giving the provision, we can test our remote function module in the same SC37 only function builder. Okay, so these four steps we have to perform, we have to do in our RFC server. Okay, right. Then in the RFC client server, from where we are going to call our this remote function module, from where we are going to call our remote function module. There also we as an ABAP consultant and a basis consultant has to perform some task here. Okay, so first is what? The collection of the RFC server, collection of this RFC server, like collection of information of, we can say, collection of information of RFC server, like what are the informations related to the RFC server. It has to collect, like IP address, system ID, client number, username, password. Okay, so these information has to be collected by the basis consultant only, okay, right. Then what the basis consultant will do, all the informations collected for this RFC server, what it has to do, this basis consultant will create a RFC destination with all those informations, and where it will create in this SM59 T code. Okay, so this is also done by the basis consultant. Okay, here we ourselves will do that. Okay, right. Then as an as an ABAP consultant, what we have to do, we need to create what, we need to create this RFC client program for what, to consume, or we can say to call the remote function module. Okay, then what we have to do, we need to create a RFC client program. RFC client program is nothing but a executable program. We have to we have to create one executable program in SC38 to call what, to call this remote function module from what, from this RFC server, right. And here, while calling calling this function module, remote function module, we have to what, we have to specify the this RFC destination also, okay. So these are the steps which we have to follow here. Okay, so let's get into the system. First we will get we will have two systems here. We will have two remote system here. Okay, first will be considered as what, RFC server. Okay, first will be considered as RFC server, where we will create our remote function module. Then we will connect to the another system, which will be considered as what, RFC client, right. And in the RFC client, the respective steps will be performed. Okay, right. So let's log in. Okay, so here we are logged in as what, we are logged in, what to say, as for above 43 na, EH7, let's do one thing. Yes, so here we are logging in, first we are logging in this ABAP ECC. Okay, so let's log in, and this system will be it will be considered as what, RFC server, where the remote function module will be created. Okay, double click on it. Let's log in here, give the password. Yes, so first of all, what we have to do, we need to go to the SCAT object navigator, and here we have to what, we have to create the function group. Okay, so from the this drop down, we have to select the function group, and here we have to give the what, function group name. Okay, so let's say it as what, G Rohit, let's say it as what, gr underscore fg1. Okay, so let's press enter here. Yes, this function group, this name function group does not exist. Let's create it. Say yes. Yes, give some short text here. Let's say what, function group to store remote function module. Okay, right. So responsible person is what, as for above 43. Let's say save it. Yes, save it as what, local object. And as we know, once we create the function group, to include program, or gets created automatically na, to include program gets created automatically. First is what, first is ending with the top, and second is ending with the UXX. So here we can say yes, the same two include programs gets created here. Okay, so in this top include program, what we can do, we can declare the global variables, right? And those global variables can be accessed from what, from all the function modules which are going to be which are going to store in the which are going to be stored in the same function group. Okay, so in the top include program, what we can do, we can declare the global variables, right? And second, that is ending with the uxx. It is what, it is for the we can say sap's internal purpose, sap's internal use. Okay, so we do not make any change here, we should not make any change in this uxx here. Yes, here also SAP is also providing this file is generated by the function library. Never change it manually, please. Never change it manually, please. Okay, right. So like this, our first step is completed. That is creation of function group creation. We will take one simple requirement here. Okay, so our function group is what, gr underscore fg1. Okay, so keep in mind. Right. Let's go to what sc11 here, sc11 here, and yes, here it is g rohit underscore tb1, g rohit underscore tb1. Okay, so in the se11 abap dictionary, we have what, we have one database table, custom database table, that is g rohit underscore tb1. Okay, so let's display it. Yes, so here we can say this table is having some three fields here, three columns: employee number, e name, and emp designation, employee designation. Okay, right. So do we have any records here? Yes, so here we can say there are 5 entries here in this table, 1001, 3, 11, 16, 20. Okay, right. So what we will do, we will create one function module. We will create one function module where what we will do, we will pass this employee number as input parameter. We will pass this employee number as input parameter, as it is what, as it is a key field. Okay, so what we will do, we will pass this employee number as input parameter. And what that function module has to do, it has to, based on what, based on the input parameter, based on this employee number, it has to return us the respective employee name and this employee designation. Okay, so this is a simple requirement which we are taking here as part of our function module. Okay, right. So what is the table name here? G rohit underscore tb1. Okay, let's do one thing. Mhm. Yes, so it will be what, RFC server. Okay, so in the RFC server, what we have to do, we need to what, RFC server is the server where we create the remote function module. Okay, so as part of this RFC server, what we have to do, what is the function group name? Function group name is what, gr underscore fg1. Okay, so this is what, this is the function group name, right? And what is the database table we are taking here? Database table name is what, g rohit underscore tb1. Okay, right. And next is what, hmm. uh, now what we have to do, we need to create this remote function module now, remote function module. Okay, so that information will be stored here, right? So now let's do one thing, let's create what is the third step here? We need to, after the analysis of the requirement, we need to create the remote function module into our sc37 function builder. Go to what, sc37 here. Okay, let's give some name here, some name to our function module here. Let's say gr underscore function module 1, gr underscore function module 1. Okay, so let's say what, create here. Yes, so what we have to do, we need to give the function group name na, function group name. Okay, so here let's say gr underscore fg1. Let's give some short text here. Let's say what, remote function module 1, remote function module 1. Okay, let's save it. Yes, so here one information it is giving us, that is function module name is reserved, it is reserved for SAP. Okay, so what does it mean? It means we can say this is a unique function module, and it will be what, it will be global to SAP system, global to SAP system. With the same name, we will not be able to create the function module again. Okay, right. Function module name is reserved for the SAP. Okay, say continue. Yes. So what we have to do, first of all, in the attributes tab, by default processing type, this function module type is set to normal function module, okay. So which type of function module we want to create here? We want to create a remote function module, remote function module, so that we can what, we can call it from a remote server, remote SAP server. Okay, right. So here we have to what, we have to select this remote enabled module. Okay, right. Yes, now let's go to the import tab here. Here we have to what, we have to specify the input parameter, importing parameter. Okay, so what was our requirement? We need to what, we need to pass this employee number as input parameter to our function group. Okay, so let's give some name here. Let's set as what, IP underscore IP underscore EMP number, IP underscore EMP number. Okay, so this is the name of our importing parameter here, right? Type, we will go with the type here, and associated type, let's say it as what, field name. Okay, field name. Okay, so what is the table name here? G Rohit underscore TB1 hyphen, what is the field name? EMP number. Okay, right. So let's press enter here. Yes, good. So here we are getting one information here. What it is saying, reference parameters are not allowed with RFC. Reference parameters are not allowed with RFC. Okay, what does it mean? In the attribute tab, we have what, we have selected the function module type as what, remote enabled function module, so in the remote function module, parameter will always be passed by value only. Parameters will be passed by value only. Parameters will not be passed by reference. Parameters will not be passed by reference. Okay, so for that, what we have to do here, we have what, we have one column, that is what, pass value. Okay, so we have to what, we have to select it. Okay, right. So that the parameters can be passed by value only, okay, right. And here we have what, we have this another column, through which we can make this input parameter as optional, but let's make it as what, mandatory parameter, input parameter. Okay, right. So this is what, this is our import parameter to this function module. Right, now let's go to the export parameter. What this function module has to do, based on what, based on this import parameter, it has to what, it has to return the respective employee name and employee designation. Okay, so here we will say ep underscore ename type G Rohit underscore TB1 hyphen ename, right? Yes, the same information we are getting here. Reference parameters are not allowed are not allowed with RFC. Okay, so what we have to do, we need to pass it with value only. Okay, right. Next is what, EMP designation, EMP DES. Okay, right. So here let's say it as what, EP underscore EMP DES. Okay, type G Rohit underscore TB1 hyphen what, EMP DES, right? And we have to what, we have to select this checkbox here, right? Press enter. Yes, good. Okay, so these are the two export parameters and one import parameter. And in the attributes tab, we have what, we have selected this radio button, that is what, remote enabled module. Okay, right. Now in the source code, what we have to do, we need to what, we need to write the logic here, right? And here we can say values, the parameters are passed by value, right? And what is the definition of this function? Function and function. Okay, right. Yes. So what this function module has to do, it has to what, it has to read, it has to take one input parameter, that is what, employee number, and it has to return what, it has to return the respective employee name and employee designation, right? So what we will say here, select single, we are comparing with what, with the key field na. So here we will use what, select single, two parameters we want to get na, two values, two parameters value, we can say employee e name na, e name and employee designation. These two columns value we want to retrieve. Select single so and so into what are the exporting parameters where it will return the value. First is what, ep underscore ep underscore e name. Next is what, ep underscore emp designation, right? And from which table it has to retrieve the data? From this g rohit underscore tb1 table, tb1 table, right? And what is the condition? This input parameter where employee number is equal to, what is the input parameter? ip underscore emp number. Okay, so this is the logic which we have to write here. Okay, select single these two parameters into what, into this exporting parameters. From which table? From this table where employee number is equal to this input parameter ip underscore emp number, right? Okay, so now let's save it. Okay, let's check for the error first. Okay, no error, good. Activate it. Hmm. No syntax error. What is the issue? Okay. What we have to do? We need to activate our function group. Now, first we need to activate our function group. Okay. So right click and say activate. Yes, it is activated. Now let's try to activate it once again. Yes, good. So object get activated here. Okay, so what was the issue? We did not activate our function group. Okay, so after creation our function group, what we have to do? First we need to activate it. And then we start storing the function module inside this function group. Okay, right. So let's activate it. Yes, now we are not getting any error, right? Let's execute it. Okay. Yes, we have to what, we have to provide some employee number. Now we have to provide some employee number. Let's provide this 1000 here. Say execute. Blank blank. Let's try to provide 1001 here. Execute. Yes, okay. So 1000 is not there, I think, in the tables there is no entry with the employee number 1000. That's why it was what, it was blank here. Okay, so the available employee numbers in our table are what, 1 3 11 16 20. Okay, so now let's test one more here. Go back, and here let's say 16 is available now. So let's check for the 16 here. Okay, Sarvana manager. Okay, 1016 Sarvana manager. Okay, so our remote function module is working fine. Okay, right. So what is the function module name here? Remote function module, that is gr underscore fm1. Okay, right. So this is all about the our remote server here. Okay, right. Yes, so now what we have done here, we have created function group, then we have analyzed the what our requirement, and then we have created our remote function module. Okay, and here we have set this remote enabled module, right? And we have written the code here, one simple logic we are writing here, and we have successfully tested. Okay, so our function module is working fine, right? Now what we have to do, uh, the steps into what, into our RFC server are completed. Right now what we have to do, we need to go to the second server, that is called as what, RFC client server, RFC client system also we can call it. Okay, so in this RFC client system, what we have to do, we need to collect the information of our RFC server, like IP address, system ID, client number, username, password, all these information we need to collect. Okay. Okay, so what we will do here, let's say what, IP address, instance ID, username. Okay, all these things we will list out here, right? So let's log out from this current server. Let's log out from this current server. Okay, close it. Yes, let's log off here, log off from here. Okay, do you want to log off? Yes, say yes. Okay, right. So now what we have to do, we need to get the information related to what, related to this RFC server now. So for that, what we will do, just right click here and go to the properties. Yes, so here this is what, this is the IP address, this is the IP address. Let's copy and paste it out here. Right, next is what, instance number is what, 26. Okay, right. What is the user here, what was the user? User is what, s for above 43, s for above 43. Okay, right. So this is the user here, s for above 43. Right, so this is the information which will be required while creating what, while creating this RFC destination, while creating this RFC destination. Okay, so from this RFC client, as part of this RFC client, what the first task which we have to do, which this basis consultant has to do, it has to what, it has to collect the information related to this RFC server. Already we have collected. Now what we have to do, we need to log in this RFC client here, right? And there what we have to do, we need to create the RFC destination, and where we can create it in this SM59. Okay, right. So let's log in here. Mm, mm. Earlier, let's close it. Yes, so here we have what, we have another system here, we have another system, that is S4 HANA. Okay, so this abab cc, it was what, it was considered as what, RFC server. Okay, now next is what, RFC client, right? And it is what, S4 HANA. Okay, and it was what, abab ecc. Okay, right. Yes, so now what, let's log in here. In this S4 HANA, okay, click on it, give the username and password. Okay, username is same here. Okay, don't confuse, username is same here, but systems are different. Okay, let's cross verify whether the systems are different. Okay, earlier we were logged into this abab ecc, which is considered as what, RFC server. Okay, in this server we were having one database table. What was the table name? Rohit underscore tb1 na. So let's cross verify whether the same table is available in this system or not. We are in what, we are in the SC11, and let's say Rohit underscore tb1. Okay, let's try to display. Yes, so here we can say this table does not exist in this system, in this RFC client system. Okay, or let's do one more thing here. Let's go to what, SC37. What was the function module name which we have created? Gr underscore fm1 na. This was the function module name now, which we have created in our RFC server. Gr underscore fm1. Okay, let's try to check whether this function module is available in this current server or not. Okay, say display. Yes, so here we can say function module so and so does not exist. Does not exist. Okay, so this is what, this is a different server. This is a different server. Okay, and this server is called as what, here in our case it is, we are calling it as what, RFC client server. Okay, right. So from this server RFC client as for HANA, what we have to do, we need to call our RFC remote function, remote function module. Okay, right? So first of all, what we have to do, we need to create this RFC destination, okay, right? So what we have to do, we need to go to this SM59 now. So let's go to what, SM59 here, okay. Configuration of RFC connections, okay. So here we are having different RFC connections. We have to what, we have to select this first one, ABAP connection, okay. In the real time, this is what, this is the responsibility of basis consultant, okay. So for the information and for our training, I'm doing it myself, okay. So this is what, SM59 here. We have to select this ABAP connection, and type is what, type this connection type is 3 here. Select it, and here we have to say what, create, okay. Select the ABAP connection and say create here, okay. Yes, give the destination name here, any name we can give. Let's say gr underscore rfc1, gr underscore rfc1, okay. And here we have to select the connection type was what, 3 ABAP connection, okay, right. So what is the destination name here, gr underscore rfc1, okay. Let's note down it. What is the name we have proposed here, gr underscore rfc1, okay, right. So let's say continue. Yes, good. So this is the interface here. ABAP connection, this is the RFC name here. Connection type is 3 here, okay. If we want we can provide the description here. Let's say RFC destination for remote function module, okay, right. Now this is the description we have provided. Now we have what, we have different tabs here. By default we are in what, we are in this technical setting tab here, okay. So here one of the field is what, one of the field is target host, okay. In this target host, what we have to do, we need to provide the our we need to provide this this IP address. We need to provide this IP address here, okay. So provide it, and the next is what, instance number. What is the instance ID here, 26. Give this one also 26, and press enter here, okay. Save as what, press enter. Yes, so here we can say IP address is selected here, okay. Okay, so in the technical setting we have provided the IP address and this instance number, okay. Now let's go to this logon and security tab here, okay. Yes, so here let's give the language, let's say English. Client number was 800 there, right. And user, what was the user, s for above 43, this was the user there, okay. And we have to what, we have to give the password as well, okay. So let's give the password, okay. So we have provided the password here, okay. So what are the settings we have to do? In the technical setting we have to provide this IP address and instance number, and in the logon and security tab we have to provide the what, language, client, user and password, okay. That's all. Yes. So now let's save our RFC destination, okay. Save it. Yes, so here we can say it has been successfully saved, okay. So our RFC destination is saved here, okay. So what is the RFC destination name here, gr underscore rfc1, okay, right. Now if we go back to this SE11 here, here SAP has provided one default what, a default database table. That is what, it was something RFC DES. Yes, RFC DES, okay, right. So let's display it. This is a standard database table provided by SAP itself, okay. What is the short description here, destination table for what, remote function call, okay. Let's check for the contents, okay. So this table stores the information related to the RFC destinations, okay. What is the table name, RFC DES, okay, right. Let's display it. Number of entries 187, okay. Now let's check what was the RFC destination name we have provided there. It was what, gr underscore rfc1, okay. Let's cross verify the same here, okay. Gr underscore rfc1, okay. Let's try to execute. Yes, good. So here we can say this is the RFC destination name which we have just created there, right? It is successfully listed into our this table, okay? This standard database table provided by SAP itself for what? For collecting the information about the RFC destinations, okay? Right. So our second step is also completed here. Is also completed, okay? That is create RFC destination from what? From SM59, from SM59. In the real time it will be done by the basis consultant, okay? Right. So now we are in what? We are in RFC client server, RFC client server, okay? Yes. One more thing here, what we can do, we can check the connection, we can check the connection between what? Between our both of the servers. First is what? RFC server, RFC server, and second is what? RFC client server, okay? Two servers are involved here now. First is what? RFC server, and the second is RFC client, okay? So from here only, where we have provided the credentials of our RFC server, here only we can do the test, we can do the connection test, we can say, okay? So here we have what? We have one in the application toolbar we have one button, that is connection text, connection test, connection test, okay? Let's check whether the connection will be established or not, okay? Click on it. Hmm. If we will have, oh good, we are not having any issue here. Connection is successfully established, we can say, okay? If there is some error here, if there is some issue there, here it will what? It will display some error logs, okay? In the real time, if we get the error logs here while checking the connection here, while testing the connection, at that point of time basis consultant will take care about that, okay? We are not bothered about that, okay? Right. So our connection is successfully established. We have tested it successfully, okay? Right. So now what we have to do, we need to, what is the last step here? Create the RFC client program, create the RFC client program to consume the remote function module, okay? Right. So we need to what? We need to create one RFC client program, or we can say this executable program, okay? So let's go to what? SC38 here. Let's give the program name some name. Let's say gr underscore rfc1, or let's say gr underscore cross1, okay? So this is the program name. Second, create here. Yes, give the title. Let's say what? Call remote function module, okay? Type will be what? Executable program. Let's save it as what? Let's say local object. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. So now we need to write the logic here to call our program, to call our remote function module. So before calling any function module, what we have to do, we need to check the signature of of that function module now. Here we know the signature of our function module, okay? So what this function module has to do, it has to what? It has to take the employee number as input parameter, and it has to return the respective employee name and employee designation, right? So for that, what we will do, first we need to what? We need to pass the value now. We need to pass the value, okay? So let's do one thing. Let's read it from the user, okay? Let's using this parameters keyword, let's generate the selection screen, okay? And in the selection screen, in the runtime, we will pass the value for this input parameter, okay? So let's say it as what? Parameter p underscore, let's say emp number. Type what? Type integer here, type integer, okay? Right. Now what we have to do, we need to get to what? We need to receive to exporting parameter also now. So for that, let's what? let's declare what? Let's declare two variables here, okay? Let's say v underscore ename, let's say of 25, length of 25, type what? Type character, right? And we need to have what? We need to have one more now. So let's say it as what? V underscore emp of let's say 25, type what? Type character, okay? Right. So we have declared one variable for generating the selection screen, where we will pass the input value, right? And we are what? We have declared two variables for what? For receiving, for storing the received employee name and employee designation, okay? So now what we have to do, we need to call our function module, remote function module, right? So here as we know in this server, in this currently logged in server, that is we can say what RFC client system, here our function module is not available now. Our function module is not available, right? So for that, that's why we will not be able to make use of this patterns here. We will not be able to use this patterns here for calling the function module. Okay, if we will try to if we will try to go with the patterns, it will give us one error. Okay. So what was the function module name here? Gr underscore fm1 na, gr underscore fm1. Okay, so this was the function module name. Function module name is what? Gr underscore fm1, right? So let's say here we are trying to make use of this patterns and this call function. Okay, here we have specified the function module name gr underscore fm1. Let's try to execute it. Okay, say continue. Yes, in the status bar, what it is saying, specify a function module name. Specify a function module name. Okay, it is not recognizing this function module because it is not available in the current system. It is not available in the current system. Okay, right. So now what we have to do, we need to what? We need to type the syntax manually here. We need to type the syntax manually here. Okay, so for that we will say call function name, call function name. What is the function name? Gr underscore fm1, gr underscore fm1. Okay, right. Now this function is having importing and exporting parameter also now. So importing will become what? Exporting here. So here we will say importing. And what was the name? What was the name we have provided there? Import parameter ip underscore na, ip underscore emp number, ip underscore emp number, right? So where we have to pass it, we have to pass it in the runtime na. So ip underscore emp number will be what? Ip underscore emp number, right? And it has to what? It has to return, it has to return the two parameters na. It has to return two parameters. So importing will become what? Uh, Exporting will become what? Importing na. So here we will say importing. And what was the parameters? ep underscore ename, and where we will return it into this variable na, v underscore ename, right? And what is the another parameter? ep underscore emp designation, emp designation, right? And where we will store it? v underscore emp designation. That's all. Okay, so this is the syntax which we have to use for what? For calling our this what this function module. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so let's do one thing before that let's say this is just for the information that from here this we can say calling of function starts here. Okay, right. Okay, now what we have to do, we have received the respective records in these variables, right? Now what we have to do, we need to print it now. So here we will say right, let's say it as what? employee name is so and so. Okay, right. So what is the variable? v underscore ename. Okay, right. Next is what? employee designation is so and so. Okay, right. So what it is? v underscore emp designation, v underscore emp designation. Okay, right. So what we are doing here, we are calling this function module, okay, but here we are not what? We are not specifying any RFC destination now. So what SAP will do, when we will try to execute it, this function module, SAP will try to find this function module within the same server. Okay, so it will not find it, and it will give us one runtime error, we can say. Okay, so let's select it. What is the issue? It got stuck. Please hold on. Here we can see it got stuck. Please hold on, please. Yes, now okay, so let's save it. Saved. Check for the error. Use parameters, not parameter. Okay. Hmm. Check for error again. Yes, no error. Let's activate this. Yes, it gets activated. Now let's try to execute. Okay, so what SAP will do, it will try to get it it will try to find this function module within the current server. But as we discussed, as we already checked this function module is not available in the current server. Okay, check for the, let's execute. Give some employee number, let's say 1001. Let's try to execute it. Okay. Yes, good. So here we are getting what? We are getting one runtime error. Okay. So what it is saying? An attempt was made to call the so and so function module. This cannot be found in the library though. A library though. Okay. So this function module is not able to. It is not being found here by SAP. Okay. Okay, so this line, this 10th line, call function so and so is giving the error here, okay, right. Gr underscore cross one. One second please. Yes, now let's go back to the SC38. Very slow. Yes, let's go to the change mode. This is the same program, gr underscore cross one, change mode. Yes, so what we have to do here, we need to what, we need to specify the RFC destination also. We need to specify the RFC destination also, right? So what we will do here only, after this calling of function, here we will say what, destination. What is the destination name here? Gr underscore RFC1, gr underscore RFC1. Okay, so this was the name of our RFC destination. Okay, right. So let's say gr underscore RFC destination. Okay, so and one more thing here, always the RFC destination name will be specified in the uppercase, will be in the uppercase only. Okay, right. So now let's save it once again, check for the error. So what is the change here we have done? We have specified the RFC destination, which is holding the information related to our remote server, or we can say RFC server, which is actually where this function module is created and stored. Okay, right. Check for error again. Yes, no error. Activate this. Yes, activated. Now let's try to execute it. Okay, give the employee number, let's say 1001. Okay, say execute. Let's check whether it will be sorry, one second please. Yes, so let's try to execute it. Okay. Hmm. Yes, good, very good. So here we can say it is what, it is able to access, okay. So what is the name, what is the employee name associated with the 1000? That is Rohit Singh and developer. Okay, so now let's try to give what, 16 here, 16 1016. Okay, say execute. Yes, Sarvana and manager. Hello, Roy Singh. This is the normal statement which we are trying to which we are printing here. Okay, so these are the information related to what, related to our remote function module, which is being accessed from what, from our RFC server. Okay, so currently we are logged in, what we are logged in as what, RFC client now, and we are accessing the function module, remote function module, which is stored into our RFC server. Okay. Okay, so this is how we can call our remote function module from our RFC client server, from a remote server, we can say. Okay, so and one more thing, the process which we follow here, the process which we follow for calling this remote function module, it is called as what, synchronous RFC. Okay, so what is the process we have followed here? Hmm. Yes, so here we can say in the RFC server, what we have done here, we have created one function module. Okay, so what was the function module? Gr underscore fc1 fm1. Okay, so as part of this function module, we have write some select statement to get the data from this database table g rohit underscore tb1 for what, for these two parameter, for these two columns, right? And based on what, based on this condition, right? So this is what, this is done into what, into our uh, RFC server, okay. And later point of time, when inside our RFC client, inside our RFC client, we have what, we have we have created one RFC, RFC client program, we can say RFC program, right? And in that program we are what we are doing, we are writing this some statements here for the starting, for the information of the starting of our program. And then what we are doing, we are declaring some parameters, some variables there. And then we are calling our function module, right? And we are specifying the destination, giving the exporting importing parameter, and then we are printing the we can say imported value, printing the imported value, right? So what is the first step which SAP is doing here in this RFC client program? First statement which this is the first statement which is it is executing, first statement it is executing, right? Then what SAP is doing, SAP is calling this program, SAP is calling this gr underscore fm1 fm1 pro fm1 function module, it is calling this function module, right? So the control goes to what, control goes to our RFC server here, control goes to our RFC server. And this program, this program RFC client program, it remains in the idle condition, in the idle condition till the time, right? So there in the when the control goes to this RFC server, it executes this logic here, it executes this logic into our RFC server, right? And after executing this logic here, this we can say this function module here, what SAP do, SAP SAP come back after the execution of this function module, the control, we can say the control come back to the RFC client program, right? And this program again comes into the active state, again come into the active state, right? Here here it will come to the active statement, right? And then what it will do, it will it will execute rest of the statements where we are where we are printing the we can say returned value, printing the returned value, and this simple statement we are printing here, okay. So this is the overall process which SAP is following here, right? So the point here to understand is what this RFC client program which we have written into our RFC client server, this program, it is waiting for what, for the remote function, for remote function module to finish its execution. After the execution of after the completion of this execution of this remote function module, then it again comes into the active state, and it is printing the rest of the statement. It print the rest of the statement, okay. When the control is at RFC server, or we can say in the execution of this function module, at that point of time this RFC programs comes into the idle condition, okay. It is we can say it is not in the active condition. After finishing the execution of this remote function module, what as this RFC client program is doing, it is executing the rest of the statement, right? Okay, so we can say this RFC client program, it is waiting for the, for what, for the acknowledgement from this this RFC function module, this RFC client program, it is waiting for the acknowledgement of our RFC function module, okay. Once it gets the acknowledgement, it is it starts executing of the rest of the statement, okay. So this process is called as what, synchronous synchronous RFC, okay. Synchronous means one after the other, okay. So first this statement will be executed, then this statement will be executed, and control goes to what, control goes to this RFC server, and this RFC program will be in the idle condition. Once the execution of this RFC function module is completed, again control come back to this RFC client program, and then it will execute the rest of the statement, okay. So this process is called as what, synchronous, one after the other, okay. there are what there are other process also. There are what we can say this remote function module can be called in multiple ways, like synchronous RFC, which we have just discussed. This is what synchronous RFC. Next is what asynchronous RFC, transactional RFC. Okay, so these we will discuss in our next sessions. So here point to understand is what one more point to understand is when we should go for this synchronous RFC, when we should go for this asynchronous RFC. Okay, so first this synchronous RFC, when we feels the rest of the statements, when we feels that the rest of the statements are dependent on the execution status of our remote function module. Let me repeat, when we feels that the rest of the statements are dependent on the execution status of our remote function module, at that point of time we should go for the synchronous RFC. Okay, and when we feels the rest of the statements are not dependent on the execution status of our remote function module, at that point of time we should go for the asynchronous RFC. Okay, right. So basically this is all about our synchronous RFC. Okay, so in our next session we will discuss about the asynchronous RFC. Okay, what is the difference, what is the difference in the syntax there? Okay, right. So that's all for this session. We'll meet in our next session soon. Bye, take care.